Welcome to my channel. I have been giving my lectures, the serious lectures, not the kids' stories. I have been giving my lectures in English because I was asked to. On the other hand, I found that some people are complaining that they would like to have the material in Hebrew. I really don't know what to do, but I don't intend to lecture in English and then re-lecture in Hebrew. It simply will bore me. Therefore, I'm going to continue lecturing in English, but I will be using a lot of Hebrew. We'll see how it works. Okay. I hope some of you remember everything that we did on Purim. The feedback that I received was very positive. And now, without having planned to, there's going to be a continuation. And here we go. On Purim, I and Karen were not at home, but we went to Warsaw, to Warsaw, Poland. Don't ask me why we went to Warsaw, but I'm glad that I did. Anyhow, we came to the Beit Knesset Merkazi for the reading of the Megillah. The Beit Knesset Merkazi in Warsaw is the only Beit Knesset that was not destroyed during the Shoah. Nobody knows why. And has become a magnet for people who are interested in getting close to their Judaism, and especially for the groups of kids who come for their trip to Poland, to the concentration camps. They were able on Purim to come to the Beit Knesset. Beit Knesset was filled. Now, I knew I was going to be in Poland, that was planned, and therefore I decided to bring with me a Megillah of my own. I brought my Megillah, and I sat down next to somebody that I didn't know, a young man with a pleasant face. And I said to him, would you mind not reading from a book, but reading from the Megillah of mine with me, because as you know, it's difficult to play with a real Megillah, a parchment Megillah. And he said, of course, I'll be glad to. And therefore, we read the Megillah from the text, and he helped me with the klaf. We finished, and then I turned to him and I said, I came in at the last moment, and I apologize, I didn't even ask your name. So he told me who he was, and I said, where are you from? And he says, I'm from Poland, and he mentions the name of a small town in Poland where he's from. So naturally, the next question that I would ask was, and where was your family during the war, during the Shoah? And he looks at me and he says, no problem, I'm a goy. I said, what? Yeah, I'm a goy. I'm interested in Judaism and I intend to become Jewish, but I'm a goy. I couldn't believe it. Purim, Harbe me'amei ha'aretz mityahadim, maybe. And I started naturally, since we were having a conversation, I started asking him questions. And as I was asking him questions, I thought of the star of this film, who we will introduce later, my friend, and as far as I'm concerned, my son, Ehud. But we'll get back to Ehud. On Leil Shabbat, same week, I was invited to dinner with the rabbi of the community, and there was sitting at the table a gentleman with a shtreimel and long payas, as a guest also of the rabbi. And I began speaking to him, and I said, where are you from? And he said, Poland. You're from Poland? And he said, yeah, I'm from Poland. And where were you during the war? No problem, I'm a goy. You're a goy with a shtreimel? I said, and a kaftan and long pants. I said, when are you going to become Jewish? He said, oh, I'm already Jewish in a few years. So I'm a wise guy. And I said, and what kind of giyur did you have? And he looks at me and he says, my dear friend, Adoni Hanechbad, I got my giyur from the Bet Din HaCharedi of London. And then I became what I became. And again, I asked him the same question. My curiosity, why did you do it? Why did you become Jewish? Why my first encounter here is with somebody who says he wants to become Jewish? What's going on? Now, the answer that I received, which amazes me, there was a common denominator. Some of you may remember that I once talked about one of the Anusim, and when I asked him why he wanted to be Jewish, and he went like this, you know. Well, anyhow, I got a similar story from both these gentlemen, from the one which I shared, the Megillah, and from this one, who was already a Yehudi im kapote v'kaftan v'kol hayetr. And the answer always was, like the Kuzari, I checked, badakti, והגעתי למסקנה שהיהדות היא הדת האמיתית. That's the real religion. I don't know when I became an Ohev Ger, but I have a reputation as being an Ohev Ger. Because I'll give you another story. Again, all of this is background to the main story, which we will not complete today, that's for sure. I was a camp director in Canada, a Connecticut Yankee, Yeshiva University, salary of then I was an assistant professor. I ended up an associate professor, as an assistant professor in Yeshiva University, and not making a living. And therefore, in the summer, I would go to summer camp. Anyhow, I always would go to the camp a couple of weeks before. This was in Ennismore, Ontario. I go to the camp before they open for the season. And I interview people who want to come to the camp. And somebody comes and he says, I want to send my daughter to the camp. We're talking about Camp Moshava. I want to send my daughter to camp. She doesn't know very much about Judaism, but I want her to learn. I am Jewish. My wife is not. I say, what's your story? And he told me, he says, I was a major in the army at the end of World War II. and I met the shiksa, and we fell in love, and I decided to marry her, and I'm still waiting for her to want to become Jewish. And she always says it's okay with me, but she has one problem. As soon as I say the word mikveh, because she had this picture that a mikveh has to be a dirty hole in the ground or something like that. Anyhow, I said, we'll be glad to take your daughter in camp. However, I suggest, and I said, I'll tell you something else. I like challenges. You want your wife to be Jewish? She has a feeling for Judaism, it's just she's afraid of the mikveh. I invite you with your wife to come for a Shabbat, to camp, and we'll see what we can do. The end result was she accepted, she went to the mikveh, she was married in an Orthodox manner. I was the Masada Kedushin, and the reason why I still choke up when I hear the story is the first letter that I received after I came on Aliyah in 1970, that's a long time ago, after I came on Aliyah was from this couple. Anyhow, so I got a reputation as being an Ohev Ger, which brings me now to the story. I must, however, let you know that everything that I'm telling you, number one, of course, it's true, but number two, which is even more important in this case, I received the permission of Ehud, the star of the story, to give the story.